Yashoyanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoyanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Madhava Kunjabihai Jaya Madhava Kunjabihai Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanidhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanidhari Yashoyanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoyanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivajikacharya, Astottara Srimad, ISKCON founder Acharya's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki, Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Dham Mayapur ki, Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswati Vyasa tato jayamudiraya nasta preshu abadeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavat Purana, Canto 3, Chapter 6, text number 36. Tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam kīrtim hareḥ svāṁ sat-kartuṁ giram anyābhidhāsatīm tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam kīrtim hareḥ svāṁ sat-kartuṁ giram anyābhidhāsatīm. Tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam sat-kartuṁ giram anyābhidhāsatīm tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam yathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga mati yathā-śrutam kīrtim hareḥ svāṁ sat-kartuṁ giram anyābhidhāsatīm tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam kīrtim hareḥ svāṁ sat-kartuṁ giram anyābhidhāsatīm tathāpi kīrtayāmy aṅga yathā-mati yathā-śrutam kartum giram anyābhidhāsatīm. Anyone else? Okay. Tathā, therefore, api, although it is so, kīrtayāmi, I do describe, aṅga, O Vidura, yathā, as much as, mati, intelligence, yathā, as much as, śrutam, heard, kīrtim, glories, hareḥ, of the Lord, svām, own, sat-kartuṁ, just purify, giram, speeches, anyābhidhā, otherwise, asatīm, unchaste, Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech. For otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. The purification of the conditioned soul necessitates purification of his consciousness. By the presence of his consciousness, the presence of the transcendental soul is verified. And as soon as consciousness leaves the body, the material body is not active. Consciousness is perceived, therefore, by activities. The theory put forward by empiric philosophers that consciousness can remain in an inactive state is the proof of their poor fund of knowledge. One should not become unchaste by stopping the activities of pure consciousness. If the activities of pure consciousness are stopped, certainly the conscious living force will be otherwise engaged, because unless engaged, the consciousness has no standing. Consciousness cannot be silent even for a moment. When the body does not act, the consciousness acts in the form of dreams. Unconsciousness is artificial. By induced extraneous help, it remains for a limited period, but when the intoxication of the drug is finished, or when one is awake, the consciousness again acts earnestly. Maitreya's statement is that in order to avoid unchaste conscious activities, he was trying to describe the unlimited glories of the Lord, although he did not have the ability to describe them perfectly. This glorification of the Lord is not a product of research, but the result of hearing submissively from the authority of the spiritual master. It is also not possible to repeat all that one has heard from his spiritual master, but one can narrate as far as possible by one's honest endeavors. It does not matter whether the Lord's glories are fully explained or not. One must attempt to engage one's body, mind, and verbal activities in the transcendental glorification of the Lord. Otherwise, such activities will remain unchaste and impure. The existence of the conditioned soul can be purified only by the method of engaging mind and speech in the service of the Lord. The Tridandi sannyasi of the Vaishnava school accept 3 rods, representing the vow to engage in the service of the Lord with the body, the mind, and the speech. Whereas the Ekadandi sannyasi takes the vow to become one with the Supreme Lord. Since the Lord is the Absolute, there is no distinction between Him and His glories. The glories of the Lord, as chanted by the Vaishnava sannyasi, are as substantial as the Lord Himself. And thus, while glorifying the Lord, the devotee becomes one with Him in transcendental interest, although he remains eternally a transcendental servitor. This simultaneous one and different position of the devotee makes him eternally purified, and thus his life becomes a complete success. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangur langayate girim at kritam kramnahandande Shri Gurum dinatharine. Hare Krishna. Maitreya Muni, great sage, Maitreya, speaking to another great personality, Vidura, who was cursed by one Muni. The Yamaraj was cursed by one Muni, but is very fortunate because of the curse, he was able to participate in Lord Krishna's activities and appear in the Mahabharata. So here Prabhupada is focusing on what is consciousness. And this brings to mind the first convention of the synthesis of science and religion in Bombay in 1986, when many Nobel laureates were invited to speak on the synthesis of science and religion. Of course, science is restricted to the laws of physics and the matter that it governs. And therefore, one of the Nobel laureates, his name was George Wald, he got a Nobel Award. He was a professor at Harvard University, and he was a contemporary of Albert Einstein. They were friends. He was there speaking very loftily, and he said, the problem is we don't know what consciousness is. As a scientist, I don't know what consciousness is. He said, if I play chess with a supercomputer, at MIT and Oxford they have supercomputers that calculate all kinds of things. How many elements are in our universe? 10 to the power 79 elements in our universe. Probabilities that life could come from matter. 1 chance in 10 to the power 176. Unlikely. He said that if I play chess with a computer and it beats me at the game of chess, does it feel proud? He says, as a scientist, I can't address that question. But intuitively, I think they're speaking about Brahman. Consciousness comes from the soul. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha shasvrachasya cha dharmasya sukayasya kantikasya cha. The Krishna says, 14th chapter, that I am the foundation, the platform on which the Brahman rests. And everything is contained within the Brahman. Both spiritual and material worlds is contained within this effulgence of the Lord. It comes from the Lord's body. Satchit Ananda, but there's no vigraha. So the soul, the last snare of Maya, is that after one goes through so much suffering trying to perform religious activities, dharma, then artha, then kama, now he wants moksha. Yene ravindaksha vimuktimaninas tvayi ashtabhavad avishuddha buddhaya. But still, Sukadeva Goswami says that his brain is still contaminated, avishuddha buddhaya. His intelligence is compromised, it's contaminated by this desire to become God. I can't enjoy the material world like God, and I don't want to try anymore. I'm completely frustrated. Therefore, I try to enter into the Brahma Jyoti and merge with the Absolute. So, Srila Prabhupada and the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nirvishesha Shunyavad. All over the world today, the entire world is blanketed by this impersonalism. One of my godbrothers was preaching in the Middle East in the 70s, in the Muslim countries, and they arrested him for preaching. It was in Palestine, Lebanon, Palestine. And so they arrested the devotees. There was another devotee from England, I believe his name was Tribhuvanath. And so then they sent a mullah into the prison to preach to the devotees. They're saying, how can you say God is a person? You Hindus, you worship some gods, different gods. You know? He was preaching. And my god brother, he started quoting Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Yasyaiti Bhakti. The Brahma Jyoti expands from Krishna. And so the mullah told the judge that these boys are okay, let them go. They had a philosophical discussion and they were released. So devotees, of course, it shows that a devotee, he is abhayam, he is fearless in all situations. Prabhupada said, we are preaching is fighting, is a war on Maya. So we don't care, death or life, we don't care. We simply want to continue spreading this and destroying this nirvishesh and shunyavad, which is so prominent in the world today. Another Nobel Award winner, John Eccles from University of California, and Karl Popper, famous philosopher, big philosophers. They wrote a book called The Brain and the Self. And in the entire book, they tried to prove that consciousness is a product of neurons firing. But at the last chapter, they admitted, they said, that human behavior defies the logic of reasoning. Why would someone dangle himself off Mount Everest and risk his life for some sense of accomplishment? So these ideas about sense of accomplishment, subjectivity, aspiration to do something, to defeat something, this all comes from consciousness, the soul. And Prabhupada says it simply to Swarup Damodar in his morning walks. We used to walk with Prabhupada in Los Angeles on a place called Venice Beach. And Swarup Damodar Maharaj would say, Prabhupada, they're saying that life comes from chemicals, that you mix some chemicals up, you get consciousness. Prabhupada, show me. I'll give you a dead body right now. Show me. Bring it back to life. With all their advanced laboratories all over the world, especially England, America, Germany, they have these multi-million-dollar laboratories, and they're trying to produce the building blocks of life, the 4 building blocks of life: proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. They're not able to do it. Impossible. Every year it gets further away, the more they discover the complex nature of the cell, the complex nature of life. So therefore, Rishabhadev tells his sons, Parabhavastavada bodha jato yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam yavasti kriyat karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. That the living entity in the illusion, icha dvesha samudena dvandva mohina bharata, becomes overwhelmed by the illusory powerful energy of the Lord and desires to defy the existence of God. Moga shamoga karmano moga jnana vichesisaha. Krishna is defeating them. So they meet with defeat, parabhavas. Tavada bodha jata yavanya jigyasata. They don't want to hear about God. They want to kill God. They want to deny the existence of God, stuff God away somewhere. Therefore, the entire world is overwhelmed by atheism. So here, in Srila Prabhupada's purport, the theory put forward by empiric philosophers that consciousness can remain in an inactive state is the proof of their poor fund of knowledge. They themselves are constantly active. The soul is constantly dynamic. And they have no idea what is subjectivity. Of course, we know that about 80 years ago, a person called Niels Bohr and Heisenberg and others, they introduced an idea of quantum theory. And in that formula, they realized that subjectivity plays a part in the experiment. And therefore, Niels Bohr, he became a believer in the soul. He embraced the Chinese religion of Taoism, which accepts the immortality of the soul. So that's just the beginning of Vaishnavism, the beginning of Sanatan Dharma. Najayate mriyate vakadachin nayam bhutva bhavite vana bhuya ajo nishcha shashvato yam puranamo nahanyate hanyamane sharire. You don't die. Your body may die, but you will never die. So unfortunately, this education that's being propagated is simply dragging people under the modes of material nature, especially the modes of passion and ignorance. So everyone is icha dvesha samudhena dvanvamohena bharata sarvabhutani samoham sarvayanti. That all living entities are being covered by this rajagun, where they identify themselves with the body. Pritakvena tu yajganam nana bhavam pritakvedam. Krishna tells Arjuna in the 14th chapter, the one who identifies another person based on their body or their ethnicity or their religion. All these things are upadis, right? Upadis, misconceptions of life. We're all equally and eternally transcendental parts and parcels. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastan indriyani prak. We're all eternal parts and parcels of the supreme absolute truth, Krishna. And so the devotee of the Lord is feeling so sorry, patita pavana. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he's feeling so sorry. So chetato vimukatas chesa. Vimukachetasa indriyartam maya sukayam varam udvahato vimudan. Prahlad Maharaj is so, in his heart, he's so much pain that these foolish living entities are gliding down, right? Patanti narake sucho. They're going to Lord Yamaraj's abode, unknowingly. They're so covered by Maya's potency, avaranatmika. Maya's potency, avaranatmika, covering power of Maya. Who can fight Maya? Impossible. This is the external energy of Lord Krishna. His Shakti is so powerful. You have no idea. You have no chance. However, Yasya devi para bhaktir yatā devi tathā guru. If you take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, one who has conquered, stepped over, samashitaye para palapam, one who stepped over this vast ocean of illusion, one who has put his foot on the head of this ocean of illusion. Samashitaye para palava palavam mahatpadam punya yishomarari. That this is an ocean of misery. What to speak of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga. We're in Kali Yuga. Every day we're hearing so much abominations. So many abominations in this world. So the Lord is so kind that He supplied us with this line of acharyas. Brahma, Madhava, Gaudiya, Sampradaya. Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Madhavacharya, and Lord Brahma himself, the founder of this, probably let's call it a party, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. He's teaching us achintya abedam tattvam, that we're simultaneously one and different from God. So the poor living entities are deprived of this wonderful, wonderful transcendental experience of bhakti yoga. It is the science. Prabhupada said this is scientific, it's not sentimental. Show me God, show me God. Well, if you restrict yourself to what is called reductionism and positivism, the two tools of modern empirical science, everything can be, our reality can be reduced down to its basic building blocks. And unless we can positively identify it under a microscope or telescope, then it doesn't exist. That's it. This is what they're doing. Therefore, we know Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadritaha. The four fallen souls are being tossed and turned by these three modes of nature. Lobha, pravritim, arambha, karmana, ashama. Full of greed. Their mode of passion is characterized by greed, material desire, over-endeavor for material things. I need more, I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy. Get me more money, I have 1 million, give me 10 million. I have 10 million, give me 100, give me 1 trillion. They glorify these guys, Elon Musk, and they're trillionaires. Are they happy? Can you be happy without Krishna, with Lord Chaitanya's mercy? No, I'm sorry. Therefore, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he has appeared with all his Nitya Siddha associates. Vasudev Ghosh, Govinda Ghosh, Mukunda Ghosh, Prakrishvara Pandit, Srivas Thakur and his 3 brothers, Gangadas Pandit. All these great personalities appeared in this area here, center of the universe, Nadia district, Mayapur Dham. God himself appeared 500 years ago. Inconceivable but true. And he predicted, so slowly we're dissipating this darkness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in South India, he got this manuscript, Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of all Vedic wisdom, the conclusion. Why? Because it focuses on the loving exchanges that the Lord has with his devotees, the prema bhakti, that the goal of human life, prema pramartha mahan, the goal of our life is how to awaken this dormant love for the Supreme that's there within our hearts by Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Sakyam Dasyam Atmani Vedanam. Beginning with Shravanam, hearing and chanting about Krishna and his avatars. Lord Nrsingadev appears, kills Hiranyakashipu, protects Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Vamana appears and defeats Bali Maharaj. Parashuram, Lord Parashuram appears. So many Nanavatarama Kurud Bhuvaneshwar. There's millions, trillions, zillions of avatars. The Lord is so merciful. But the most merciful is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That Krishna comes and he thinks, internally he wants to taste the love that Radharani has for him. He can't imagine this love, this prema that Radha, Ladini Shakti, that she has for him. Unbelievable love for him. Even though Krishna may treat me roughly by his embrace, I will serve him. Even that pain that I may have, because Krishna, he engages in these leelas of parakiya bhav, lawless love with other gopis. And Radharani becomes so hurt. And so she's saying, well, if it pleases Krishna, he's attracted to one gopi, then I'll become her maidservant and take her by the hand and bring her to Krishna. And that pain will be the greatest of my pleasure if Krishna is happy. So this is devotee, tate nukampam shushamikṣamano bunjane vatma kritam vipakam rigvag vapubir vidadan namaste jivetam yomukti pade sadayabhat. The devotee of the Lord, Rupa Goswami said, he undergoes all types of trials and tribulations, all kinds of obstacles in life and adverse, reverse conditions in life. Sometimes there's death, sometimes there's disease, sometimes there's poverty. In any situation, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, simply chant the names of Krishna, the holy names of the Lord. Just chant the holy names in happiness or distress, in gain or loss, in fame or infamy, in fair or no fair, any of these dualities. simply continue chanting and depending on Lord Krishna. And then Krishna becomes that devotee's property. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He is the property of his devotee. Don't mess with Krishna. We see that Srivas Thakur, over here, he was having nocturnal kirtan with Lord Chaitanya every night. Only certain devotees were allowed, the most confidential devotees, Murari Gupta and so on. Very, very great devotees of the Lord. So one Gopal Chapala became very envious. His name is Gopal. Somehow, sometimes envy Matsarya. So he put some paraphernalia for Durga worship, some red colors, some feathers, some wine bottle, to try and scandalize the name of Srivas Thakur. So that morning, Srivas Thakur opened his door, and oh, now I've been discovered. Oh my gosh, now everyone knows my real true colors. Srivas Thakur is Narada Muni. He's just transcendental sage amongst the demigods. Ahustram Rishaya Sarve, Deva Rishi Naradas Tata. Arjuna is glorifying him. Here he is, Srivas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya is very intimate devotee and disciple. So that Gopal Chapala, we know he contracted leprosy. He became a leper. So this is the danger of Vaishnava aparad. Even the most neophyte or junior devotee, we should take the dust from their lotus feet, take their remnants. Narottam Das Thakur says, the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees are my 4 kinds of foodstuffs. So this is the real devotee of the Lord. Amanina manadena, amanadvam, adambidvam, ahimsa shantir, arjavam, acharya pasanam. Krishna delineates, he illustrates, he delineates various qualities of a real Vaishnava, a real devotee. And he is non-envious. So there's many examples of this Vaishnava aparad and the results. So we have to be very careful, and we have to respect all, what to speak of devotees. There was one leper named Vasudeva in South India, and there was little insects eating his body, eating his rotting body. And when they fell off, he'd say, oh no, I'm the source of his maintenance. And he'd pick the insect back and put it on his body. He's such a humble person. Even Shivananda Sena, we know, he was traveling to Puri and this dog became attached to him. And so one day the dog got lost, and the devotees finally found the dog. Shivananda Sena was offering his obeisances to the dog. I must have offended you. I didn't feed you, you know. And he would pay the toll to cross the river on the way to Puri. Ultimately, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave some coconut pulp to the dog, and the dog was, chant Hare Krishna. The dog was chanting Hare Krishna. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can convert even animals to love of God. He can bestow them with pure love of God, even animals. Even Jaga and Madai, they're worse than animals. Murderers, rapists, and he just forgave them and embraced Madhai. So in this way, God himself can do these wonderful, miraculous things. Prabhupada said, I'm not Lord Chaitanya, but I can preach to dog-like men. Swavidvara hostakarai samstuta purusha pashu. 2-legged animals, Prabhupada came and preached to us and gave us the real purpose of our human lives, which is simply to kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param bhajet. So here, Prabhupada is focusing in the second paragraph that it is not possible to repeat all that one has heard from his spiritual master. but one can narrate as far as possible by one's honest endeavor. So Prabhupada would always refer to the verse in the first canto, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Pratishokam Avadavati Api. That even this, Prabhupada may have not perfectly given the purports to Srimad Bhagavatam, but the message is so important and so powerful that even if there's some grammatical problem, that message will penetrate the heart of those who hear it and change their lives. It will create a revolution within those human beings, those misguided human beings. The Srimad Bhagavatam and these purports, although imperfectly composed, as Prabhupada said, can create a revolution, can change the heart of living beings, of all these people. That is our goal. We are the educators. And you don't have to be born in a Brahmin caste. You don't have to be a Bhattacharya to become a devotee of the Lord. After all, a Vaishnava is far more tatkarma nipano vipro mancha tancha visharada. A Vaishnavana Sadguru, Vaishnavanam Swapacho Guru. Even if you're born in a community of dog eaters, yatā kinchanatam yati kam samrasa vijanataha tathā diksha vijanena dvijadvam jayate vinam. So Sanatana Goswami says that just as bell metal by some alchemical process can turn into gold, so when you meet a great devotee of the Lord, one who is free from all material desire, one who is in love with Krishna, one who is full of prema, premanjana trita, he can change bell metal to gold, right? And that is far superior to these big Brahmins who perform these big yagyas and speak, flowery language of the Vedas. Yes, I know the entire Bhagavad Gita. I met one scholar in Montreal. He was a Sanskrit scholar teaching Sanskrit. And he said, you're having this prasad distribution, but this is North America, this is Western culture. You should feed them some hamburger. I said, what? You're a Sanskrit scholar? He said, look, Krishna told Arjuna to kill 600 million warriors. 600 million, what's a few cows? I said, I'm sorry, but I can't work with you. I'll do my own prasad distribution. Krishna prasad. Patram pushpam palam toyam yomi bhakta prayachati. So this is the complete chala dharma, as they say, chala dharma, the completely hypocritical dharma, adharma in the garb of religion. He's teaching he said, I'm teaching Sanskrit mythology. If you want, you can speak some mythology. The myth is that you think you're the body. The myth is you think you can produce life from chemicals. The myth is you think that species evolve from very, very simple E. coli in the stomach, some unicellular organism, and now you have Albert Einstein or someone. Not possible. Show me how. Prabhupada said, simply post-dated checks. He said, we don't accept post-dated checks. Yes, next year we'll do this. We'll show. No, not possible. This is Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva. They're influenced by Kali Yuga, therefore they're Rakshasha. Krishna condemns them, Rakshasha, man-eaters. And Prabhupada said, Rajasyu Janaka Dasyu, that in the age of Kali, the leaders, the big professors, the big scientists, the big politicians, they will be plundering the people. They will plunder. Prabhupada said there's one thing to be a pickpocket. He said, yeah, it's pickpocket, he goes, steals a little money. He said, no, this dosyu means plunderers. They're draining the people's energy. They're draining them of everything through taxation, through false promises. And because they're performing so many sinful activities, he says, at the end of Kali Yuga, there will be no more rain. There'll be no more cows. There'll be fire everywhere. Fires will be everywhere at the end of this Kali Yuga. People will eat their own children. Maybe they're doing that now. Maybe. They kill their own children now. So many heinous activities, abominable activities are going on in the name of human civilization. Unfortunately, this is a recipe for suffering, human suffering. Collectively, individually, this will go on unless people come to their senses. So when Prabhupada was translating the 10th canto, I was in Vrindavan, and he wrote a purport there where he says, Sarvasariti Sani Vishtu Matasmitir Gyanam. He says, Mata, and forgetfulness. He says, forgetfulness has now come in the form of Marxism, communism. And he said, people become so atheistic that now they have nuclear weapons pointed at each other. And he says they should be very careful because at any time this nuclear war can break out and everything will be finished. That was one of his final purports. A warning that if you continue with these heinous, sinful activities, so impious, naman duskritina mudha, so duskritina, that perhaps if you don't be careful, everything will be finished. Lord Shiva becomes so angry, the mode of ignorance will manifest in the form of huge wars. Then all your human life will be finished, and you'll take birth. Tathā pralinas tamasa, mudho jonisu jayate. You die in the mode of ignorance, you take birth in the lower species of life. Tanaham dushatakram samsareshu naradamam. Shipam riyajasham. Krishna is angrily saying, you're taking birth in the species of dogs and cats. If you don't, it doesn't matter, you're the prime minister, you're the president of America or wherever, China, wherever. Your next life, you have to take so much bad karma if you're engaging in all these heinous and legislating all these demoniac activities. Animal slaughter, gambling, illicit connections, what else? Intoxication, liquor stores. This is all Kali. Kali is laughing. Personality of Kali, you know. Mars pricked him, let him go. Shouldn't have let him go. He should have taken his life. But, you know, the honor of Kshatriya is, okay, you surrendered to me, now I have to give you a place to live. You can live wherever there's a hoarding of gold. So go to Las Vegas, go to New York. A lot of gold there, a lot of so-called gold money. And people just spending money to commit sinful activities. So this is going on in this Kali Yuga. The only hope, of course, Kalir dosha nide rajan. Asir eka mahad gunan, kirtanad eva krishnasya, mukta sangha parambraja. So we are the soldiers of Srila Prabhupada. Soldiers. Prabhupada said, preaching is fighting. He said it, preaching is fighting. Our business, that's our business, preaching. Prasadam distribution. Preaching also means deity worship because it makes us very strong, controls our mind, or else the mind is our great enemy, right? Chanchalahi mana Krishna pramati balabhadrinam. It's very obstinate, very strong. Chanchala, it wants to enjoy this material world in so many ways. So we are soldiers, so we have to wear the armor of sadhana bhakti. Jeev jago, wake up at the Brahma Muhurta and chant the holy names of the Lord with everyone in unison. Study Srimad Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita, and then with that strength, give it to others. Take the mercy, give the mercy. Prabhupada said, that is our business. Preaching is, we're fighting. And they tried to destroy the movement in the courts in New York. Prabhupada said, let the judge read my books. So Adikeshav Swami, he was president, he was charged with misguiding the public, just like Socrates. Many years ago, Socrates was teaching philosophy, good philosophy. He believed in Brahman, you know, spirituality. He understood that he was not the body. But then they condemned him because he was corrupting the youth, and he had to drink hemlock. Isn't it hemlock? Poison. He just said, okay. So the demons are always trying to crush the devotees. But Lord Krishna, of course, Mahatmanas tumam partha, daivim prakritim, ashritaha. Krishna protects his devotees. He will protect his devotees. Look at Arjuna. He said, except for you and your brothers, everyone is gone. I'm going to kill. Kalosmi bharatarshava. Time I am, destroyer of the worlds. I have come to engage all men except for you, the Pandavas, everyone on this battlefield. 600 million. It's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers. So preaching is fighting, Prabhupada said. Even Prabhupada was very sick, March 1977, very ill. He was still moving around. He, I think in the spring he even tried to go to England, but he was so ill. But to his last breath, Prabhupada was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. To his last breath, lying there in Vrindavan, translating these beautiful purports. Very special, very unique. These purports, Prabhupada said, I'm just the instrument. Krishna is writing. Krishna is telling me what to write. He said that. So this is very unique. This is not some ordinary Vedic literature. This is transcendental even to the Vedas. Triguna Vishaya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavarjana. This is Krishna's mercy, this Srimad Bhagavatam purports. And Srila Prabhupada is the empowered instrument. He reads this, he said, I read my own books because I didn't write them, Krishna did. So these books are very powerful, very powerful. Books are the basis. Purity is the force, preaching is the essence, utility is the principle. So these books are changing the world step by step. These are not ordinary. They can transform, they will destroy all the dirt within the heart. Anartha nivriti, all the anarthas in our heart will be destroyed, and we'll start to get a taste for the holy name. When you have jaundice, you get, what, sugar? And you drink it with some lemon. I had jaundice a long time ago. And suddenly you start tasting, oh, it's very sweet, sugar cane. So like that, gradually the jaundice will go away, and we'll develop a ruchi, a taste for the holy name. Aparada guchi, sudanami ruchi. Kabe habe bolo say, when will that day be mine? When I chant and I can taste the nectar of the Lord's holy name. All his nectar is there in this holy name, and he's invested so much in the holy name in Kali Yuga. So that is the sacrifice of the age, the chanting, especially congregational chanting of the holy name, congregational japa also. Chant together and together. And this taste is coming. But we have to be nischayad. Nischayad means patient. Be patient. So one, I forgot who it was, but Lord Chaitanya said, you won't get love of God for millions of years. I forgot his name. Anyone know Murari something? And, huh? Mukunda, yes. And he was, 1,000,000 years, great. 1,000,000 years, I'm going to get love of God. Oh my goodness, wonderful. But we're thinking, oh my God, I've been chanting for, 10 years, 15 years. What's going on? How come I don't see Krishna? Come on, I'm a senior devotee. I've been here for 30 years. Don't you know? No, it doesn't work like that. Chunadapi sunichana, Dororivasa Hishnuna, Amani Namana Dena, Kirtanaya Sadahari. Kali Das, ate the remnants of all the Vaishnavas in Bengal. Although he was Brahmin caste, he was going and giving mangoes to the lower caste devotees, Jadu Thakur, and he'd watch them eat, and then they'd throw the mango pits in the garbage, and he would go and he'd take their remnants. He'd lick their mango pits. Every Vaishnava in Bengal, he took their remnants. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu said, now it's time for some mercy. So when he went to Jagannath Puri, Gauranga Mahaprabhu was having his feet washed at the Jagannath temple, and Kalidas was once, twice, and he was drinking the bath water, washing the feet of Lord Chaitanya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and he kept going, and then Gauranga Mahaprabhu said, no, that's enough, stop now. You had 3 times, come on. Like that. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu is anxious to bestow his mercy upon us. But we have to maintain a state of mind which is very tolerant, very humble, very patient, very determined. Dridhavrata, like Maharaj Prataparuja. I can give up my life if Lord Chaitanya doesn't want to give me an interview. I give up my life. I give up my kingdom. In those days, they had boatloads of gold. Can you imagine a king? How much gold he must have had. Even Rupa Goswami gave away a boatload of gold. Can you see a boatload of gold now? Impossible. It'd be very difficult. The government would have to come and with the military. So this was the way it was. So Prataparuja Maharaj, my kingdom is useless if I can't have an interview with Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He's God himself. So Maharaj Prataparuja is very determined. Prabhupada said, this is determination you need to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Determined. There may be many pitfalls, many slips, many difficulties. Our minds are all influenced by the personality of Kali. So we have to focus and control and keep going. There'll be so many tests will be given to us. But one day, Prabhupada said, Krishna will appear to you. Krishna will give his mercy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. So we'll stop here. We have about 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3 minutes. Someone wants to say something?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the class, very nice.
Thank you, sir.
So typically we hear of this terminology, chaste, unchaste, as applied to illicit, lust, sex desire. So can you expound a little bit on how it applies to speech and, chaste and unchaste speech?
That's described in the 14th chapter also, austerity of speech. Austerity of the body, austerity of speech. Mona Prashada, I can't remember the full verse, but it's austerity of speech, of course, is to avoid, like Rupa Goswami, Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpa, avoiding the topics of the mundane world, politics, social issues, and so on. So in the Gita also, Krishna says austerity of speech is to only speak about Krishna, only glorify the Lord. This is the austerity of speech, of the tongue. Avoid prajalpa, gram katha, gramya katha, and so on. So chastity, of course, there's a line going from the mind to the tongue, to the belly, to the genital. Therefore, that verse. How's it go? One who is a guru. Vachu. Vachu vegam manasakroda vegam jiva vegam udarapasta vegam. Hetan vegam yobisha hetadira svām apiman vishesheta shishya. So in that verse, a real guru is one who controls this line of going from mind, tongue, belly and genitals. So devotee who controls his mind, then his senses come under control. So chaste. And then Prabhupada says we eat only innocent foods. Patram pushpam palam. Innocent foods. We don't indulge in foods in the mode of passion or ignorance. So that helps us control even our speech, because the tongue is under control. The senses become polluted by this passion, sense gratification. Krishna says, Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshava, that even sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, which is used to produce Krishna conscious children, is Krishna himself. So everything can be dovetailed in the service of Lord Krishna. That is the chastity. We're not these Mayavadis who go and live in a cave, practice monam. Prahlad Maharaj condemns that, right? The monam means to always speak about Krishna. Satatam kīrtayantam mam, tantascha dhrudavrataha, tantas mam dhrudavrataha. Katayantas chamam nityam, tushanti cha ramanti cha, rasavarjam rasopyasya. You get the high taste when you're always glorifying Krishna, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, distributing Krishna consciousness to the public. Very powerful. Very powerful to give Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy names in the Sankirtan movement. So this controls the mind, the tongue, the belly, genitals, to a point where the 6 Goswamis really, they didn't eat at all. They controlled eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They controlled it all. Raghunath Das, you know, a couple drops every 2 days of butter is all he ate. You know, we're not at that level, but and we shouldn't artificially try to be there, because that will actually cause more problems like that eventually. So that is chastity. Chastity means self-control. The mind is our enemy, so we have to, you're living with the enemy. In the neophyte stage, we're living with the enemy. You're living with a cobra. So you have to keep the poison fangs, you know, you have to get rid of that poison. Because Prabhupada says the senses are like cobra. At any time they'll try to bite. And then you might die. Devotional service might end for some time. So we have to be very careful. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Speedy recovery of our beloved spiritual master, His Holiness Srila Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. Everybody please repeat the Achman mantra with me.